You're watching Kivumbi 2017. Thank you for staying with us. So, I need to run something by you. A quarter of all polling stations in the country apparently do not have adequate mobile network coverage for transmission of election results. And as a result, election officials in about 11,155 polling centers out of the nationwide 40,883 will have to move to other areas to transmit results. This has Kenyans very upset. Let's listen to IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati giving his explanation a little bit on this. Then we can have a conversation in studio.
Is this something that could have been done?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Okay, we in the commission, since we came in office, we believe that we must be transparent. We have reached out to all the stakeholders, and we have had meetings and given out press briefings in the name of transparency, because this election is about the people of Kenya, our number one stakeholder. Now, when it comes to the communication about those polling stations you're talking about, it's about 2G, 3G network. These are places which only have 2G network. Now, from where we sit, and given the trial runs we have done, and as work as provided for by the network providers, the ones I've mentioned, the 2G may not be able to sustain transmitting the scanned form of the results. That's form 34A. Remember, there are two ways of sending the result.
Yes.
There's the text result and also the scanned result. That's the form itself. So there may be a chance that 2G may not transmit the form. But we are not saying it will fail. We are saying that in the event that it fails to transmit the form, then we encourage the presiding officers and the agents to move to the tallying center in the constituency. In the tallying center, we have made provision. All the 290 tallying centers have satellite provisions for transmission in case the internet has issues. But most of the tallying centers are on 3G.
Some of the areas that do not have adequate mobile network include what? Kisii, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Siaya, Vihiga, Busia, just some of the areas that have been mentioned. Ambassador Tumo, what are your thoughts?
My question is, when was this discovered? Is it today? Is it yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, these are some of the things that should have been looked at long before and the corrective measures put in place. Now, if we are being told today that some places don't have the capacity to transmit information, what do they leave us to believe?
And you do know you have leaders as well from those areas, especially like one of the areas, Kisii. Some of the leaders are saying, okay, what are you guys talking about? We have enough network coverage here. So
that's the thing. Those are some of the things that, like Alex said, that cause people to start saying, is it deliberate or is it real? Now, but then it is a little late now, really. Perhaps what we have to do is to say, yes, these ones which are not working, if they were able to correct it tonight, they should go into that. If they are not, because I'm told once you key in the information, there is no way you can change it.
That's it.
That's it.
Once you key it
in,
that's
So if it is just a question of moving from the polling station to the center, perhaps Kenyan can accommodate that while we are saying you made a mistake here, but we will do with that.
Okay. Alex?
So I think there's two things here. And one, I would like to believe that Chebukati is being on the side of caution. Okay?
Explain.
And what he has said himself is that if the alpha, that there will be the alphanumeric, which is the text, and then there is the image transmission. What I would ask myself, and I'll still go back to this point, because I think it is an important point, and Kenyans cannot be lazy not to interrogate this thing to the gates of hell. We are spending 50 billion shillings on this election. We should buy a Cadillac of an election. That means that if you know that you can have as minimal as 2G, then you should be able to format that image in a way that it can be transmitted on a 2G network. It's a scan. You should be able to formulate that scan, compose it in a way that can be transmitted as a smaller file. Okay? Now, that's problem number one. And I think this must haunt Chebukati to his grave. You spend so much money, and you're giving us a very crappy system. And as Jack said, you should have thought all these things through.
Tell me, do you have a problem with the timing of this announcement?
Well, the time of this, this they have said before, and part of the law actually allows that. Remember when they went back to the law to change some of these things in Parliament and say that there will be some provision. Now the number, and I think anybody who wants to read mischief should understand that this is across the stronghold divide. There is ODM areas and there is NASA areas and there's Jubilee areas affected, and Raila himself pointed out that. But as you said, there are people who are doubting this. And that's why I would like to give it to Chebukati, that he's being cautious and trying to make sure that we don't have a problem. But here's where there is a problem, which needs very succinct communication. He himself said that because it is easy to tamper with the alphanumeric transmission, they will rely absolutely on the scan. And if what's on the scan is not consistent with what's on the alphanumeric, then what's on the alphanumeric will take precedence. Now the question is, if you have this amount of time in between, I'm just being a conspiracy. I'm just trying to put some conspiracy here. Yeah. Is to say, look, if you transmit the alphanumeric, and then we bring in the scanned copies, and they're different from the alphanumeric, and you told us in advance that we'll accept only the scanned forms. That's what we're talking about. And the time delay in the transmission of those images. And at what point will they then determine or even cross-check these things and say that we're going to go with the scans, and then the scans already are being transmitted too late? Is that an opportunity for somebody then to monitor and then adjust the votes accordingly, as they did in 2007?
Yusuf actually posed that question to
Absolutely.
Chebukati,
So I think, and as Jack and Desi have said, this is where he needs somebody other than himself to come who is more articulate than Chebukati. Chebukati is not articulate at all. And he must accept that. We have different strengths. They need to have somebody who is more articulate, who is quick on their feet with the facts, and basically comes and explains to the people what contingency measures have been taken.
Daisy, before we go to Joy Doreen Bira to take a look at what people are saying online.
You know, elections are a multi-agency effort, okay? Knowing that we were going to have an election in 2017, there should have been proper consultation with the Communications Authority of Kenya.
You don't think there was a proper
Well, obviously not, because why would they come and tell us this at this time?
Right.
Because the Communications Authority of Kenya know and understand how our network is configured. They should have been able to test, in fact, that whether that system would work, whether that scan could work over 2G, because he says that they're not sure that the scan can be transmitted over a 2G network. They should have tested it. They should have been able to run these tests.
Come with facts and say, we've tried this, is not working.
Because Commissioner Chebukati, to be fair to the commissioners, they came into office in January. But the IEBC Secretariat has had time to plan around the electoral process. They could have consulted with CAK. They could have sat down with service providers. How did they? Because I imagine that service providers have been allocated the country in terms of their network strength.
They have, actually.
You know, to be able to transmit these results. So they should have been able to know, if we have given it to Airtel, and Airtel is not strong in this area, then we give it to Safaricom that is strong in this area. So we would want to know, and I think that it is very important that we interrogate IEBC over this process, because it is really unacceptable that Kenya is running such an expensive election, and this is the kind of information that we are receiving at a time like this. You know, I mean, it just doesn't build confidence. You know, Kenyans are going, but it is almost like some people feel like we're being led to the slaughter.
Let's just do this and see how it
we
goes.
shouldn't. And you see, that's the thing. We have this attitude of, let's just do it, accept and move on.
Okay.
You know, how dare they give us this information at this time in the day?
Great. So let me bring in my colleague, Joy Doreen Bira, who's been following this conversation online. Joy, what are guys saying?
Well, Linda, there's quite a lot that is trending, but of course, the fact that we only have a few hours, in fact, now we should be counting about 8 hours to election.